Welcome to Loadout Check on Army TV. I'm Serhiy Lipko, and joining me is John, a serviceman with the International Legion of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine. Great to have you with us.
Hi, how you doing?
Today we are going to take a closer look at the loadout of a fighter from the International Legion. But first, John, how are you feeling? I know you're currently going through rehab after being wounded.
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. The wound is more or less healed. It's now just muscle strength, so more and more, running. But otherwise, I'm doing okay right now. Thank you.
What kind of wound was it? Was it shrapnel or what?
It was a shrapnel wound from a VOG dropped by a drone. Went into my femur bone about halfway through I think it's called a nodule, right there at the joint. In this case, I didn't really see it happen. I knew the drone was there. Somebody called it out. I checked on my guys, and as soon as I looked back to go forward again, dropped the VOG about 10 meters away from me, hit a couple of my other guys, but we were able to thankfully get out of there pretty quick, pretty safe. So everyone's fine now. They're all healed. They're all up and well. So it all worked out in the end, but we definitely did get lucky. Smile, JJ. Firefight.
I can't help but notice your t-shirt. It's a pretty stylish one, and clearly about the Russo-Ukrainian war, judging by the print. I'm curious, do you know what the text says and what it means?
This is, it says, this is our, I want to say land or territory. I'm still learning my Ukrainian, so.
I'm guessing there isn't really an exact English word for posadka. Is there?
Gotcha. Okay, then that would explain why I can't translate it.
Looks cool.
I will say.
Jeez. Badasses don't look at the explosions.
That's fucking sick. Holy fuck.
So let's move on to your gear and start with your weapons. We've talked before, and you've mentioned that your favorite is the Mini-Me, a proper machine gun meant for laying down serious fire. But what you've got here isn't a machine gun, it's an AR platform rifle.
Yeah, so when I first started the war, obviously I came in as a machine gunner, started with the PKM, switched over to the Mark 48 Mini-Me. And I've had that for the longest time. However, now I'm in a leadership role, and so I have to give somebody else the Mini-Me to use. So I'm back down to just my Daniel Defense M4, which I actually received back in 22 while on deployment in Zaporizhia. Leaderships, I have to have a free hand, not necessarily needed on the very front there with a machine gun laying down a wall of lead anymore. Now I have to direct troops and just be a little more a little less of a primary target for the enemy to try and hit. She's a great weapon. I actually prefer personally the M4. It's worked for me for the last 2.5 years now that I've had her. More than a few people try and tell me, hey, can I use your M4? Or hey, do you want to switch out for a Scar L or CZ Bren 2 or something else? No. DDM4 is where it's at, and I will continue to use this rifle until it breaks.
Daniel Defense really is a solid rifle. Can you walk us through what we've got mounted up on it?
So just a few minor modifications. I don't like to over encumber my rifle. I know there's a lot of people out there that are just like, oh, where's the forward hand grip, or the laser, and this big ass, flashlight or something like that. I like to try and keep it as simple as possible. Allows me to manipulate my weapon more comfortably and more readily. So obviously we'll start with the sight here that I have. It's a Vortex Strikefire. It normally, periodically I'll have a 3-power magnifier that goes along with it that I can, pull over and see up to, clearly three times power. So I can generally better engage targets at least up to about 200 to 300 meters, far more accurately. But this was a donation gift from a friend. So I looked up the price and I immediately realized I wouldn't have been able to afford it on my own. So thank you. You know who you are if you're watching this video. And then I do have an Inforce flashlight on here. I won't turn it on here. One, because it's super bright and the lighting guys would be angry with me. And two, I generally take the battery out if I'm not using it because it does drain the battery if it's just sitting in there. But it does have a function where this lever right here changes it from strobe or set. So anytime I hit the button, if I release the button, it'll automatically turn off. But if I flip the switch, I push the button, it'll stay on. Generally, this is only being used if I'm doing any kind of CQB type clearances, and I'm going in, generally if I'm going in from a bright area, so say I'm outside, it's sunny, and I'm trying to see down into a hole or even into a doorway that's shaded, my eyes are adjusted for the daytime. It's not adjusted for whatever the low light situation is inside. So what I'll do is I will actually just turn that on real quick, get a quick clearance of what I'm looking at. And if there's some Russian bastard looking back at me, he's got a bright, high-powered loomed flashlight in his face and he's going, ah, fuck. And then I plug him. But generally that's what that's for.
I haven't seen many Daniel Defense rifles up close, but tell me, did you swap out the grip? It doesn't look standard, or is it how it comes from the factory?
Oh, actually, this is stock. This is other than me adding on to here, I have not changed a single thing on the rifle. This is all factory manufactured and everything and shipped. So, the rubber grip on the hand guard there, or the hand grip there, and then also the cheek well. That all came with the rifle.
Aside from the Daniel Defense, I can see you've also got a holster with a sidearm. Can you tell us what you are carrying there?
Yeah, so this is the Sig Sauer P320. Go ahead and proper clear, right? So Sig Sauer P320 is the 9mm pistol that we generally issue in the DIU. Not everybody's going to get one, mostly because we just don't have a whole lot of them, but it is the most prevalent pistol that we have.
When it comes to upgrades, it looks like you are running it stock just as it was issued, though I see you've marked it somehow.
The writing is just my code name or call sign initials, so John Wick, JW. It's just a easy way to make sure that when we put weapons back into storage, people don't accidentally take mine, because the serial numbers are very, very small. Not everybody looks at it and they all go, oh yeah, I remember this scraping on the barrel, or I remember that chip, and we might have the same thing just because of the natural wear and tear. This is mine, nobody else can have it.
You've said you've used this weapon in combat, the machine gun definitely, but what about the pistol? Have you ever actually had to use it in a fight? Do you still take it with you on mission? Is it still worth carrying?
So I always viewed, my sidearm as a last-ditch effort, something that I will need or have on me in the event that I don't have a weapon at all. And I actually have found myself in that situation one time. It was the day that I got wounded. I have a video of it.
Arrow, get out!
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Let's go! Hey!
But I'm carrying a shotgun, and which was a last minute decision. So I have my shotgun, so I have my rifle as well, but my rifle's attached to my bag.
Ah! Fuck! God! Damn it! I'm hit! Ah! Shit! Fuck! My knee!
It's fine.
Ah! Son of a bitch!
When I got hit, I dumped my bag because I can't put any weight on my leg. My bag weighs 30 to 35 kilos. So I left my bag on the trail, kind of took a mental note of where it was, took the shotgun, ran into a hole.
Ah! 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 God damn it!
We did the whole thing, and then just before I was going to do an evac, I handed off the shotgun to to the team that was still on the ground.
Just to clarify, the shotgun was for taking down drones, right? That was its main purpose.
Yes, exactly, and that's why I left it with them, is because they needed it for anti-drone. I was getting ready to leave. I'm going to leave them with the good, the necessary equipment. So all I had was my pistol. Our evac got delayed. I was in a I was in a separate hole, and we heard movement coming up on our position. And we heard it's me and two other foreigners, and we can't, so I'm sorry everybody, but we still can't really tell the difference between Ukrainian and Russian. So for us, it all sounds the same. And we just heard a big diesel engine pull up. We couldn't hear where it came from. We heard people get out. They were speaking. I'm on the radio with my headquarters, and I'm like, hey, do we have friendlies being dropped off? And they're telling me there shouldn't be anyone. No, there's no, we're not told. And so I'm like, well, I guess this is where I die. And so I had somebody sitting right over here on my left. The other two guys have rifles pointed up this way. We're under a tarp and everything. It's nighttime. We can't see. And then just before any shots were fired, thankfully we came over the radio. Hey, they're friendlies, friendlies, friendlies. Somebody just didn't tell anybody that they were sending people out. So, but yeah, that was a situation where would have used a pistol in that situation, and I'm thankful that I did have it, because otherwise all I would have is my knife and bad language.
You mentioned that it's a last-ditch weapon, and you also just brought up your knife. I was actually going to ask about that. Let's talk about the CQB gear.
Yeah. So this is my K-bar gift that I actually received back in the Marine Corps from my first lieutenant. He actually had given everybody in our platoon just before our first deployment into Iraq. He gave us one of these K-bars, and it's it's a solid piece of equipment, straight blade. You can use it for, mine clearances, obviously the killing of the enemy. And then, in my particular case, this knife has actually already saved my life once in this country.
Can you tell us that story?
Yes. So it was on an infill to a area. We were taking, this was up in the Kharkiv region, and we were taking out some fishing net because somebody somewhere decided that that would be a good idea to put over our positions to help against FPVs and then, maybe even against VOGs to help protect our positions. So we took a whole bunch of those. Well, when we got out, I'm helping to throw things out, water, bags, the netting, and then casualties start getting loaded up into my vehicle. And so I'm like, oh, that's my cue to leave. So I jump out of the vehicle. Well, somehow some of that netting had wrapped itself around my leg, or both my legs actually, and it actually wrapped my barrel around my ankle because I have it on my strap here, so it hangs over here, and the barrel was wrapped around my leg. So I couldn't get up the hill out of the open where the vehicle was into the tree line into the safe position. And I could hear some drones coming over towards us. So I'm, struggling. I actually tripped and fell, and I can hear these drones coming like, fuck, fuck, fuck. I'm trying to rip the lining with my hands, and I can't get it. So I said, screw it. So I pulled out my knife, and I'm, just cutting away at all the fishing line. And by the time I got everything free enough that I could move on my own, ran up, the vehicle had already left, but shortly after I got into my position, one of the guys was telling me that a drone just did a drop of what looked like mines, this was around the time they started doing remote mining with PFMs. So not even a minute after I got into the hole, they had just dropped off a fresh load of PFMs pretty much right on top of where my position was. So I would have probably had mines dropped on my head, and those don't take a lot of pressure, so if they're just hitting on top, I could have been maimed or killed. So this knife helped get me out of that situation.
So your commander back in 2007 was thinking, what can I give these guys that will actually be useful? Turns out it was probably the best gift he could have picked.
Yes, yeah, I know. So unfortunately, he was not one of my favorite lieutenants. So, I don't know if he's following this conflict or not. But if you are watching, thank you for the gift. It'll never leave my side. So.
All right, so now that we've covered your weapons, let's move on to your gear. Let's start with the helmet and go from top to bottom.
All right. So the helmet I use is actually a donated helmet from a donor back in 22. Received it while I was stationed in Zaporizhia. Have on here, I did put on a cover, so underneath it is still just like you'll see right here that it is been painted or pre-printed with multicam. However, I now have a helmet cover that a friend of mine actually gave me because it's got a battery pack or counterweight storage zone right here. Also helps with my wires for my Peltor headset that I have. It's specifically bought because it has the 2 radio leads. Again, like I've mentioned before, I'm more in a command role now than a actual fighter role. So when I do go on the ground, I generally need to have multiple radios on me. This makes that job a lot easier. So I'm not constantly switching channels, on my radio. Also, the Ear Pro itself is very robust and it's very hardy, or hardened, I should say. Water resistant, impact resistant, and it's just going to last me a long, long time. And for the high price of around 54,000 hryvnia. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Я думаю,
I think that explains why it's the first time I'm seeing this kind of headset. I'm used to seeing walkers, they go for around 3,500 hryvnias. I've seen sardines too, but this brand never came across it before.
Like the other brands, like the Walkers, the Solomons, the lower price ranged M3s that they have out there, those are good. They'll get the job done. But with the lower price range, you also get the lower quality. And what I need is something that is going to give me the best quality overall.
I have to ask, this padding here is really specific. Is that standard or did you get it separately? I mean, these honeycomb inserts, they look like some kind of future tech, like something made on a 3D printer.
Yeah, so it did not come with this. One of my old team leaders, through, again, more donors. Donors are, a life send and a must, I think. So my donors are godsends for me and my boys. But when I was with my old team, he had gotten funds to purchase this particular helmet cushioning system, and it's just pretty much like a 3D printed kind of mesh. It gives out all that. It helps distribute the weight of the helmet more evenly, and because it's not a piece of cloth, you don't build up a lot of that sweat inside of your kit. I know everybody who's ever been on the ground or been wearing their helmet for more than a few hours in the hot sun, they all know the pain of wearing the helmet and then you see the inevitable brown, dirty sweat start to build up on the brim of your helmet and drip on your nose or on your glasses. So this prevents all of that because it doesn't absorb anything. It also allows for air to move more freely over your head. Some of you, like yourself, who have actually hair, not that big a deal. For guys like me who cut their hair almost bald, it's a godsend.
Mind if I? It feels incredible to the touch. I would honestly wear clothes made of this material. Why isn't everyone using tech like this already? All right, let's move on from the helmet to your body armor, your plate carrier.
All right. So my vest is, again, donor gifted. Thank you very much. So these straps themselves, they're been wearing this for years now, so it's a little worn down, but generally it's padded right here. But with this laser cut strap right here, it helps to keep the weight more evenly distributed across the neck and shoulders. But with the cummerbund that it comes with, which is actually MOLLE-based system, it fits snugly enough around my waist that I really don't have any weight of the vest on my shoulders. These actually kind of sit just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of comfort, there is one detail inside I want to point out. This part right here, kind of like a shell. Let me tilt it a bit so people can
does
see.
Have additional padding on here. It's like a thick, hard gel padding on here. So my plates are curved. It actually just conforms to the shape of my back for the most part, at least when I'm bending over. If I try to lay down, it's another story. But yeah, it's extra padding, which definitely, again, comfort is a premium when you're out in the field. So the more comfortable you can make yourself while still maintaining functionality, go for it.
I should also point out how you've distributed the weight and how you've prioritized additional protection. You are not running side panels or a cummerbund setup, but you've added what looks like an MTech ballistic lower back panel. That comes from your experience, right?
So, some of my experience, some of my friends' experiences. I got this particular MTAC, like you said, MTAC ballistic back covering here for my lower back. That was based on a friend of mine who received shrapnel from a mortar in his lower back. So this is lightweight. But it protects you from those types of injuries a little more comprehensively. I felt I absolutely needed. It didn't hinder me in either weight or maneuverability, so why not, right?
So this is what it looks like on the plate carrier. Let's give the viewers a look. Yeah, you will need to put it back together later. We kind of took it apart. That's on the back, and I'm guessing most viewers already know what a lumbar panel looks like. So since it's turned around, let's break down the back side. You've got a hydration pouch here and the bladder inside.
Yeah. So the backpack, there's some dirt from the field there. The backpack itself, it's just, I bought it just to retain my my Camelback bladder by the train station there. And then I have my MTAC bladder. I strongly believe that it should be on your plate, not on your bag. Water is something that everyone's going to need. I don't care if you think you're only going to be out there for an hour or if you're going to be out there for several days. Having a Camelback, absolutely necessary. You can live up to a week without food. You can only live for a few days without water, and you can fight even less so if you don't have water. So this right here is absolutely necessary.
Do you ever run into the situation like this? I've got a pouch for a hydration bladder. In the summer, sure, there is a bladder inside. But in winter, there is every piece of random junk imaginable inside. The bladder just freezes, so it's not really practical. But the pouch stays anyway. What about you? Same story?
So, yeah, so for me, what I've found is, because I had the same problem during the winter, right? You go and suck on some water, go out in the field, you're out there for maybe 30 or 40 minutes, you go to suck on some more water, and it's frozen. A tip to help prevent that is when you're done drinking, blow back into it. So just put air through the tube, empty the tube out. The bladder itself will generally stay in a liquid form longer than anything inside the tube. And then you can, you'll usually be able to get water that way. Additionally, I don't have it here because I never thought about getting it, but I actually have a friend of mine. He found a water bladder that's in the shape of a plate. So you can actually get a hard plastic water bladder for your plate. And what he does...
Basically, it's just a big flask.
Yeah, kind of like a flask, yeah. So, like, he actually has it on the inside. He has an external plate carrier that actually carries on, straps on or zips onto the back of his plate. And then he puts the water bladder here. So his body heat keeps the water nice and warm, or at least liquid. And then he's still protected by the hard plate that he has on the on there.
Пропоную перейти на
All right, let's take a look at the front of your plate carrier. There is something I don't want to skip over.
можемо упустити. Я
This seal caught my attention. So is that a Warhammer thing?
Yes, yeah. So this is a Warhammer 40K purity seal. A friend of mine on my team, he found a other Ukrainian here, and that 3D prints them, and then they cut out whatever phrase you want to put in here, and yeah. So I mean, there was a whole bunch of us that are Warhammer fans, and we're just like, hell yeah, let's get this. And as you can see, it's got the DIU or Gore emblem on the center there. We I usually keep it on my kit because the Emperor protects, and he always will. So he's always with me every time I go out in the field.
за імпер.
Don't care about a thing. Always took what I wanted. I wanted everything. Yeah.
Зазначу, тут
Worth noting, you've got 6 mags up front, not the standard 3 we usually see.
Yes. So there's a difference of opinion on how many round or magazines that you should have on the front of your plate. Most people, like you said, they usually only have a single load magazine because it keeps them with a lower profile. I've normally seen is they usually have, several more that are stacked around their cummerbund or somewhere on some quick draw mag pouches on their lower back. Usually they just end up ringing themselves with magazines. Me personally, I've always had double stack mags, even in the Marine Corps. So this is something that I'm used to. This is something that I'm comfortable with. I don't feel that it hinders me in terms of maintaining a lower profile any more than, I mean, these things aren't that thick. So I don't see the particular need to just be on a single on there. And then I have all 6 of my mags that I need ready to go there. So it's just more convenient for me. And it also frees up real estate on my cummerbund because I like my arms as close to my sides as possible. I don't like being bowed out like this.
As we keep looking at the front, this little piece here might look like a NATO cam light or some fancy tactical device, but in reality, it's just a basic blue pen.
Just a pen, yep.
2 of them, actually.
Yep.
Just to be clear, it actually writes, not a prop, not for show. Why are they here on the plate carrier?
I would say that anybody going in the field, not just leadership, needs to have note-taking equipment with them. So generally speaking, having pens with you is always good to have, right? Because if you're just showing up on a position, if you're just before you go out on a mission, you're getting a brief, right? Taking notes is paramount. A lot of people just kind of go off of, oh, I'll just remember it, and then they forget what the hell they're doing out in the field. But additionally, on top of notes, something that isn't done more often within the military here in Ukraine, which I think a lot of guys need to start doing, is when you get to a position, you do what's called a range card. And the range card is literally just, what do I see? And from my position, from my angle. And on that range card, you indicate which way is north. You indicate, if you have like a compass or something like that, you can get an azimuth or the degrees that you're looking at. And then you start drawing out. You literally just make a doodle. You don't have to be an artist. You can make stick figures if you want. But you just make a doodle of, you know, here's a big tree, here's a rock, there's a building, and this is what's here and there. You know, by that building, there's actually a ditch that you can't see from our angle, but just FYI, Russians can, you know, be traveling back and forth behind that ditch, so that if you have like a grenade launcher that you know, all right, cool, that building's 250 meters away, there's a ditch probably about another 50 meters out there, I know I need to go 300 meters, boom, done, right? Not that most grenade launchers can reach the 300 meters, so unless you're using a Mark 19, but you get the point, right? And you just write out what you see, how far it is, estimate how far it is, and you can't do that unless you have a pen, right? You can write on anything, cardboard, paper, if you have a notepad, which is preferred, do that, but pens are absolutely necessary because you can do exactly what you just did too. I can write on my hand and write those instructions, right? If I'm looking for grid coordinates or something like that, so.
Так, дуже зручно.
Yes, super convenient, and both pens are blue, which kind of tells you there is not a whole lot of bureaucracy in defense intelligence. No one's forcing you to carry a black one just for paperwork. I'm guessing that's not really a thing for you. So this is the admin pouch, which, if I'm not mistaken, also has some ballistic protection.
Yep, nope, it's a ballistic admin pouch. So I have my two, like I said, I have another 4 pens down here, right? And then I got my other admin pouch here. Currently it's empty. I pulled all my stuff out for everything, but this is the Kevlar that it has embedded in there. So this will actually sit right around my lower stomach, just above the groin. Again, just additional added protection. It's lightweight, it's flexible, it's not going to get in my way, it's not going to unnecessarily weigh me down. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
I see a Ukrainian flag there. This
yeah.
pouch made in Ukraine.
Yeah. I actually bought this actual pouch I bought in Kramatorsk. There's a tactical store. I couldn't tell you what street it is, but there's a tactical store out there, and they sell a whole bunch of these. I think I bought this for 200 or 300 hryvnia.
Це чудово.
It's honestly a great buy, especially for Kramatorsk. But in frontline towns and settlements, I'm often a bit hesitant to walk into military stores. Sometimes they will hand you a piece of cardboard and say, Carinthia, my friend, you have to buy it. All right, let's move on. What else have we got on the plate carrier? On the side, I see the pair of small grenade pouches. Symmetrical setup, right? One on this side, one on the other.
Yeah, so with the symmetry and everything, it's mostly, again, due to weight distribution, right? I don't want to have... grenades are actually heavy, for those of you who don't know. I think some of the lightest grenades that we have are still the weight of a baseball, if not a little more. So having 2 or 3 of them over on this side, I obviously would start to lean there. So just keeping that symmetry, like you said, on either side, it's there. Also, I keep them, you'll notice that they're close to the actual, the quick release pins here, which keeps the grenades more to my front, not to my sides, because the more I start to put on, the less flexible I am. And trying to reach for a grenade like this is a little difficult, especially in a combat situation. So having them ready to go right here, I can pull them out more easily.
So I suggest we move on from the plate carrier to the war belt you're running. Let's switch things up a bit.
All right.
First off, I want to clarify, this is a war belt, not a load-bearing harness or chest rig. It's a standalone belt, clips on by itself. And what's always kind of surprised me about setup like this is how strong they actually are. I used to think if you hang too much stuff in it, it will just peel apart or fall into pieces.
It's got a carbon fiber kind of inset here that it lends to that rigidness, that sturdiness that you were mentioning. I've had this belt for the last year and a half now. It's gone on with me on assaults and defensive actions and everything, and has never failed me. So thankfully, I know people who have belts that have suspender systems on them as well. They're a little more bulky as well. And again, I like to try and keep things as compact as possible because I prefer to have actual movement instead of a big bulky belt on me that would limit how far I can actually lean over. So if I'm trying to peek a corner, I can get here instead of only here. So this allows me to do that while also allowing me to maintain the equipment that I need or want on my belt.
What works better for you? Should we go clockwise or counterclockwise? What's ever easier for you to explain?
You know what? Let's go counterclockwise. Let's make it interesting. So, starting off here, I have 2 pistol magazines, or mag pouches rather, with my magazines. These mag pouches are actually from MTAC, so once again, Ukrainian brand. It works. It's just as robust as the name brands in many cases. So, and the price is definitely right. Next, we have a Ukrainian Army. So I got a Ukrainian Army speed. We call these particular mag pouches where there are speed reload mag pouches, or our oh shit mag pouch. This is essentially if for whatever reason I don't have my kit on me, predominantly if I'm a casualty or if I've taken a particularly bad hit, either it's burnt or it's shredded, but it saved my life. I'm going to dump the extra weight because now it's useless. It's not actually doing anything other than making me less comfortable, less maneuverable, less protected. And I still have at least 1 or 2 magazines on here. Again, I'm actually about to, probably after the show, go out and buy another mag pouch and place that where this one is and then switch that back here. There are some people who...
Через рік будемо записувати.
We will check in a year, see how far the upgrades have gone and whether your gear dreams came true.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? And that's the thing is you're always going to change because, your body's going to, you're going to take hits that are going to change up how you actually move. So you're going to need to switch things around. You're going to get new kit that makes you need to put things in different positions. So it's a never-ending process of evolution, one's personal kit. So
next to it, I see a dump pouch, and it looks like there is something in it. Magazine?
There's another magazine inside. Yes. So this is another. This is called a dump pouch or a drop pouch. It's meant just for retaining different items. So this is my extra magazine that I have. So I'll have my 6 there. I'll have my 7. Eventually my 8, and then I'll have my mag that's already inside my rifle whenever I deploy out into the field. So. But this pouch is extremely useful, extremely necessary. I keep my gloves inside of it. Something going back to the helmet. This is my little cap or do-rag. I wear that underneath this so I don't get lines on my head. And you don't need to see my snacks. But yes, generally speaking, whenever, we're fighting and you need to do a reload, if you have time, again, mags are expensive and you can always reload them, right? So generally speaking, if we're fighting, oh crap, I'm out, I'll take out my magazine and I will just drop this right inside my pouch. And if I get it on the first try, awesome, I've been practicing. If I don't, then I'll leave that. But that's a tactical instruction, so we'll avoid that. I won't lecture anybody on how to do their job.
Gloves, are these anything special or just standard ones?
No, it was literally just any brand. So these are just plastic with like a nylon covering over top. There are other brands that do a more comprehensive knuckle system where it's either Kevlar or carbon fiber. Literally for me, it's just a added protective measure. So if I'm rummaging through something, bushes, gravel, dirt, whatever, it's just an added layer of protection for my knuckles and everything, so that I don't just, scrape them up or damage them. Also, they add a little more punch if you get pissed off at your friends.
Next up, let's take a look at your IFAK. This one got a bit of tube-like shape, so to speak.
So the IFAK is a relatively, this particular IFAK is a relatively new addition I've made to my kit. I used to have a standard standard pouch, very rectangular, very bulky, hang out around my butt cheek more often. So if I sat down, I kind of had this lump in my lower back now. So now it's more compact and it allows for a quick release. I can pull this out on either side, have immediate access to it. And just open this up and I have everything inside. I kind of have it crunched in there right now a little bit because I have a couple extra items that normally wouldn't be in there. But that's kind of how I have my new system and all that. So, and it sits on there. It's a MOLLE system on here. And all this does is holds this in place. And then you have your straps on either side. So you can just roll over on one side or the other and pull that straight out.
And just to add, still on the topic of medical gear, you've also got a separate pouch here for a tourniquet on the war belt.
Yeah, so I have an additional tourniquet. So this is my tourniquet that we got from donors. I also have another tourniquet inside my IFAK. Everyone should have 2 or 3 tourniquets on them. Minimum, preferably 3 over 2. So I have these 2 here, and then generally I will have one inside of my admin pouch as well.
Just beside the tourniquet, there is your pistol, which we have already covered, same with the knife. But I wanted to take a look at your holster. This is Ukrainian brand too, right?
Yep, so it's a ATA or ATA brand. So it's just one part holster, and then it's got a actual release lever here where you just pull that in, releases, and now I can draw the pistol out, re-engage so that it doesn't bounce around. So if I'm running around in the field or whatever, the pistol's not going anywhere.
I think we've gone through just about everything on your war belt except the knife, which we covered earlier. That's standard mounting, right? Came with the knife. And if you are just tuning in now and wondering, wait, what about the knife on the war belt? Rewind a bit. There is a great story there and some really cool details.
Я зазначу, ми, здається...
Now, stepping back a bit, I think we've given a solid quick overview of your full loadout. Right from the beginning of this episode, with the Ukrainian M-Tech t-shirt that says "It's our Posadka," and all the way through. We've seen your plate carrier and then a whole bunch of pouches, most of them from Ukrainian manufacturers. There is clearly a lot of local brands, a strong presence of Ukrainian-made military gear. And that brings me to a question. Based on your experience, how would you rate the current state of Ukrainian tactical gear manufacturers? How far have they come in terms of quality? How do they compare?
I am actually very proud, very happy with the quality of the Ukrainian brands that we have available to us. I will say that at the beginning of the war, when I first came over here, there were maybe 2 or 3 brands that were out there that could compare any of their supply to the name brand Western supplies. But now, years later, that quality has caught up to where the vast majority of somebody's inventory equals, I would say, or near equals the quality of whatever name brand that they're trying to compete with. The quality of the Ukrainian brands has definitely increased dramatically over a very short period of time.
Well, John, thank you so much for walking us through your loadout in such detail. Always we want to remind our viewers that the ideal gear setup may vary from person to person. What works for our guest today might not be what works for you. Everyone picks their equipment based on their specific needs and mission requirements. And if you were inspired not only by John's gear but also by the unit he serves with, and you are thinking about joining the International Legion of the DIU, you will find all the links and info below, including their official resources and social media. Check it out, learn more, and if it feels right, get involved. John, once again, thank you for your time and, of course, for your service. We really appreciate it.